Thank you. Welcome. My name is Steve Muterspa. I'm the Executive Artistic Director here at Hill Barn, and thank you so much for coming out on a Monday night to celebrate that one-of-a-kind man, Alan Hafter. I met Alan 6 months ago when I took the position and was immediately struck by his absolute commitment and dedication to not only Hill Barn and its patrons, but the community at large with which it serves. And he has been such an ambassador during my time, the short time that I've been here, that I will be forever grateful for those short months that we got to spend together. I already have written about his encyclopedic Rolodex that he had on all the patrons, and if any of you have dealt with him in the box office, you know he knew everything. He knew your preference. He knew what night you wanted to be at, the seat that you had, anything. He had it ready to go because he wanted to make sure everyone had the greatest time at Hill Barn. I owe a lot to Alan. He was able to share his institutional knowledge. He was able to share his love for this place. He exemplifies what it means for a community theater to exist within the community, because he was all about the people that came through these doors, whether it was the artists or the patrons. He was so dedicated to anything that we were putting on this stage. I have two memories that I'm going to keep with me. One of which I've already mentioned in emails, but just to briefly cover, one of the few things that Alan and I collaborated on were his write-ups of the season shows. So I gave him the scripts, and I said, hey, Alan, could you please read through the scripts and kind of flag anything that might make this age appropriate, like an older age range, or if it's good for families, could you just tag all the profanities, any adult situations, anything like that. I thought it was a very mundane task that I gave him to do. What came back were 5 essays on the shows highlighting the strengths, where the challenges would be, but why it was important to share these works with the Hill Barn crowd. And that is why moving forward for the rest of this season, you will see his, in my opinion, pieces on the website. So he will continue to have a voice this entire season with us. So, but that right there is just a little hint of his dedication and care when it came to this place. And then the last one, my second memory, is the last time I saw him. He was sitting on the bench out in the courtyard. He was obviously not well. He was slotted to cover Baskerville that night. He was going to work the box office. And I had said to him several times, Alan, I think you need to go home and get some rest. And as the staff will attest, anytime Alan was not feeling well, he would rather be here than at home. And so he sat on that bench. He said, no, I just need to get some fresh air. I'll be ready in a moment. And I left, and he had eventually called Eve and said, hey, could you please come? I actually do need to go home. I'm not feeling well. And that was the last time he was in the building. But up until the end, it was his dedication. Again, that is the word of the night, dedication to this place and to the people who come here that I will forever cherish. Alan was Mr. Box Office. We've called him that before. Poor Eve still gets phone calls of people only wanting to talk to Alan. So, so it's only fitting that we will be naming the box office in his honor. So, and we will be putting a plaque on it. So, and as you may have noticed, Alan's seat is illuminated tonight. That is his specific seat with his plaque on it. So he will be with us, and we will continue to shine that light that he shone so brightly in the community. His tenure here spanned 4 artistic directors over 2 decades. His first day on the job was September 11th, 2001. And you can only imagine how he navigated that, right? And just his care for the folks that were calling in or wanting to know, was there still going to be a show that night? And I can only imagine what he did to help navigate those waters. But I do have someone, as I said, I only knew the man for 6 months, but I have someone with me that worked with him for over a decade, and it's former executive artistic director Dan Deemers, and he's going to join me as fellow MC tonight. I thought he was over there.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome, sir.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here and to celebrate the amazing man that is Alan Hafter. I had the distinct joy of working with Alan for over a decade, and there was never moments where we weren't laughing and cursing. But we always had an amazing time together. I valued his opinions. We would have lengthy conversations about a lot of different things and shows. Oftentimes he would say to me, "Are we doing Carousel this year?" And I'd say, "Not this year, Alan. It's a little problematic." Would you say Xandra? Is that Xandra? So we just laugh and talk about a lot of different things. And he was notorious for telling great stories in the office, and just truly the heart and soul of this building. And we would, I hear you. It's coming. Don't worry. Take your time. What we would often laugh about is with the stories and certain things that would occur. He would always tell us stories that reminded us of Larry David. So for those of you who don't know, Larry David is Curb Your Enthusiasm. He wrote Seinfeld and all those different things. And Alan was notorious for having stories like that. And he would light up and just laugh about how ridiculous these things were that would happen to him, whether he was traveling or whatever. Some of them I can't tell in mixed company. But what I always appreciated was that through anything, any challenge, any adversity, anything that the theater faced, he rolled up his sleeves and he helped figure out how to make it work. And you know, when you're trying to run a theater company in the Bay Area and you're trying to engage people and do things, you always want people around you who want to do that. And oftentimes Alan was that inspiration that inspired everybody else to rally up with us. I'll never forget, one time we were in here cleaning the theater before a show, and it had been cleaned professionally. And Alan came in and he's like, "They didn't even clean in there. They cleaned nothing." And so we all gathered up and we cleaned the theater, and it was just, we were laughing and joking and having a great time. And you know, there's not a lot of people in this world like Alan. And I cherish every memory I have with him. And he constantly lives with me, be it through humor, be it through funny anecdotal situations that occurred. You know, we lived in the same complex together, and I'd call him and I'd say, "Hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need stuff?" "No." And I say, "Are you sure?" He says, "No, I'm fine. Everything's fine." And I said, so I'll never forget one day I said, "Alan, I'm going to go for a walk. Do you want to go for a walk?" And he says, "Sure, I'd love to go for a walk." And we sat on a bench and just talked about art and the impact of art and how important it was. And, you know, the depth of his knowledge and his awareness and just who he was at his core, he was art. Everything that embodies art, everything that we all strive to do, he celebrated, he did. Be it from the Lions Club to the theater here to helping with the speech competitions and engaging with his grandchildren and his family. And, you know, you just an amazing human being. And so such an honor to work with him. You know, and I used to laugh. He'd say, "Now, Dan, I'm getting old." I say, "What?" He says, "I'm getting older, and I don't want you to feel like you have to fire me because I'm old." I said, "Alan, I said, "Alan, you came with the building. I don't know what you're talking about." He says, "Well, you know." And I said, "Alan, you're going to be here till the very end." And he was. And I'm so thankful for that, because this place has lost a star on the stage. And although that seat is lit, I know he will constantly be here as he pledged for every opening night. So I am a better person for having known Alan Hafter. Hafter. Make sure we spell it right. I'm going to miss him terribly, so much. But we thought tonight, what better way to celebrate Alan than to do some great music from some of his favorite shows and tell some carousel, thank you. Spoiling it early, I hear you. And just celebrate him and the music and the things that he loved. So with that, all right, okay. So we're flying by the seat of our pants, folks, so hang on. It's been a while since I've been up here. I'd like to bring up Caitlin McGinty and Anthony Jackson, and they're going to sing. Oh, and our amazing pianist tonight, Grace, where are you? Grace, please give a round of applause for Grace. It's a little short for you, Caitlin. That's right. Okay. All right. And they will be singing a song from, you guessed it, Sandra, Carousel.
If I loved you time and again, I would try to say all I want you to know.
If I loved you, words wouldn't come in an easy way. Round in circles I'd go,
Longing to tell you, but afraid and shy.
I'd let my golden chances pass me by.
Soon you'd leave me, off you would go in the mist of day.
Never, never to know. If I loved you,
longing to tell you, but afraid and shy.
I'd let my golden chances pass me by. Soon you'd leave me, off you would go in the mist of day. Never, never to know. How I love you. If I love you.
what's your name?
Oh, my name's Alan.
And what do you do here at Hill Barn?
Oh, I just handle all the exchanges and subscriptions, and I do everything around here.
What are you going to do right now? Are you going to listen
I'm
to the
listening
sweet
to the
tunes?
music to American Idiot. The kids are going to be doing that this summer, and I want to become more familiar with it. This one, this is great. I mean, this one's called Give Me Novocaine. I'm a retired dentist, so I can really relate to this. Hi, my name's Alan Hafter, and I'm going to be the rabbi in Fiddler on the Roof. I love the role of the rabbi. I was asked to do it for Broadway by the Bay, and I loved it. And I think it's just terrific. People come and ask the rabbi questions that are very important to him and to the community, and they trust him. And it's the best role in the show as far as I'm concerned. I love it. I relate to the character of the rabbi because I finally reached the age where younger people come to me and ask me questions for guidance, and I'm happy to give it to them.
If you ever followed our social media a while back, there was endless fun stuff like that with him. I do want to tell a couple of stories. The first one, and I think Sandy, there you are. Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, or Brian. He always told this story about his job as a cabbie in New Jersey. And I heard a groan. I know. And he always talked about this one delivery that or the passenger he had who had a ginormous cake. And, you know, the guy got into the cab and said, okay, I need you to get me to wherever I need to go. I don't remember. I don't know if you guys remember. His daughter's wedding. Thank you, Brian. And I need to get there, but I have this cake. Like, be careful. So Alan's there driving the car, gets there safe. Everything is great. Nothing happened. And then he reaches over, gets the fare, and puts his hand right through the cake. One of my favorite Alan stories. But he used to talk about his time in Jersey so much with, you know, such fond memories and wild adventures. You know, he talked about an ice cream machine that he broke. You know, there's all sorts of fun things. One of his jokes that he told regularly that is forever ingrained on my bones is what is the most popular time to go to the dentist? 2:30. 2:30. Okay. Listen, I know, but it's there and it's forever etched on my bones. My last story, which I'll share with you, which I got a great kick out of. We were doing Fiddler on the Roof. As you saw, he played the rabbi. And we just finished doing the wedding scene, and it was this beautiful, sprawling scene with everybody. And I stopped, and I said, Alan, I have one note for you. And he says, What? I'm the rabbi. And I said, Alan, I need you to read the correct direction. You're Jewish. And he went, The Gentile told me how to read the Torah. He was reading it like a book rather than the way you're supposed to read it. So we always joked and laughed about that. But again, just a phenomenal man, cherished friendship. I loved him so much and just would do anything for him. One of his other favorite pieces and songs that we're going to do tonight will be performed by the lovely Melissa Wolfclain, wherever you are. Come on up. And we'll be doing a piece from Funny Girl.
People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. We're children needing other children, and just letting our grown-up pride hide all the pain inside, acting more like children than children. Lovers are very special people. They're the luckiest people in the world. With one person, one very special person, a feeling deep in your soul says you were half, now you're whole. No more hunger and thirst, but first be a person who needs people. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. A feeling deep in your soul says you were half, now you're whole. No more hunger and thirst, but first be a person who needs people. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world.
I'd now like to call up to the stage Pam Lampkin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pam Lampkin. I am the Development Associate here at Hill Barn. I mostly fundraise, but I also am the communications person. And I'll tell you a little bit more about my work with Alan when I come back to the podium. He and I shared an absolute love of the Oxford comma. We have someone who's going to come and deliver some words from one of the former very important members of Hill Barn. Greg Sudmeyer was here when Lee Foster was the artistic director, and I'd like to invite his daughter Lucy to come up and deliver a few comments by the man who we called Suds. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. As you know, my name is Lucy. I have known Alan since I was about 13 years old. I grew up in these walls of this theater. It made me who I am today, and Alan for sure was a part of that. And like Pam said, my dad sent along some lovely thoughts because he couldn't be here today. So here we go. My good friendship with Alan Hafter began back in the days of the beloved Peninsula Civic Light Opera in the 1980s and 90s. Alan appeared in many of those wonderful productions, first because of his committed stage presence as a cast member, and second because his personal ethic was to always be the oil in the gears of the ever-changing and grinding rehearsal process and performance schedule. He was the kindest man and cast member, and his enormous enthusiasm for every successful production was absolutely genuine. My reconnection with Alan continued at Hillbarn Theater from 2005 to 2014. Alan was the same there. His deep love for theater combined with his personal work ethic was a delight to experience and work with. Besides our wonderful theater connection, Alan played a uniquely pivotal role in my and my children's lives. When then executive director Lee Foster was looking for a musical director for Hillbarn's 2005 production of Sound of Music, it was Alan's tenacious sleuthing that brought me to Hillbarn. Alan's tenacity and his keen ability to research contact information quickly planted the seeds of a beautiful and healing life trajectory for me, Lee, and all our children till this day. With all my heart, thank you, Alan, not only for being such a good friend and a dedicated and insightful theater compatriot, but also for playing such a key part in the beautiful life of the blended Foster-Sedmeyer family. We all wish God's rich blessings and peace to all the Hafter family. I know we will all remember Alan lovingly here on the earth plane, and I very much look forward to walking up to the grand Universal box office in the great theater above and see Alan's smiling face once again as he hands me my ticket. Until then, Alan, rest well backstage, Greg Sedmeyer.
And now we'd like to share a video from previous executive artistic director Lee Foster.
Hello, everyone. Lee Foster here, speaking to you from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm currently the director of the Rialtas Center. I was the executive director, then artistic director, then chief cook, bottle washer at Hillbarn from 1997 to 2014. I had the great good fortune to hire Alan, and I got to spend a lot of time with him in that tiny little office, to travel with he and Jan in New York and New England, and to direct him in ragtime. In 2005, when we did Sound of Music and we needed a new music director, Alan helped me to find Greg Sedmeyer, who I had worked with years before. As many of you know, I ended up marrying Greg, and Alan said, "The lengths you'll go to find a music director." We'll be married 18 years next month. We re-met as I played Sister Margareta, so good luck to you on your current Sound of Music. In New York, Alan admitted that for a Jew, he loved church music, requiems, and such. My son, David, Alan, and I would create races to get through all the season subscriptions in August. Alan loved it every year that David would come back. One of my favorite memories of Alan was when he brought in Kugel every night for the show Crossing Delancey, or when he acted in the Crime of the Century in Ragtime with the girl on a swing. The last thing I'll say is that Alan and I are very different. He was as detail-oriented as I was big picture. But I'll say, as I understood the gift he gave me in the detail, I began to love him more and more. I just know he's playing show tunes right now. Thank you very much, and I miss all of you and wish you the very best of luck at Hillbarn. Good night.
And now I invite to the stage Bridget Losey, former box office associate extraordinaire. And the one behind those lovely Alan videos. So.
We had fun. Okay, hi everybody. Yeah. Okay, so I am Bridget, and I worked in the box office for I think 7 years with Alan. And for those of you who don't know me, you probably or do know me, excuse me, didn't know this, but when I first met Alan, I think I hated him. Oops. I couldn't stand him. He was so meticulous and he was anal retentive. And he used to get so upset when we would take his office supplies that one day we came into the office and he had written his name like on Post-its, cut it out and put tape and labeled all of his office supplies. He even put it on his computer mouse, so we wouldn't take the mouse from his computer. Anyway, we were always at odds, and I was like a young new hire, ready to make changes, make big waves at Hillbard, and he was not amused. He liked to remind me that he had been working at the company for 13 years, and he knew what the customer wanted, and he did. As mentioned previously, Alan would always get phone calls. I would pick up the phone and go, "Hi, it's Bridget from Hillbarn Theater. How can I help you?" They go, "Is Alan there?" Or emails going, "Hi, Alan." And I would respond and be like, "So this is Bridget. Hi, I can help you too." Yeah, he had a great relationship with all of the patrons and everyone who worked here. So many, and I came to find out that so many of the patrons were friends of his, old patients of his. He knew, like Dan said, exactly where they like to sit, what nights they like to come. All the knowledge I have of Hillbarn patrons, I learned from Alan. Anyway, I hated him. But like any great buddy comedy, Alan soon became my favorite person. And he was the Felix to my Oscar, the Woody to my Buzz, the Louise to my Thelma. In addition to bonding over a love of tuna melts and the state of New Jersey, I loved his attention to detail. He could find any error in any program, in any poster, or anything he did. He saved my skin so many times, and he would get so upset anytime that he missed the opportunity to check a program. I believe he would sit there and he would shake his head and he would go, "You should have let me read it." I used to nickname him, or not used to, I nicknamed him Hawkeye's Hafter. And I said, "Old Hawkeyes has to look at this before we can proof it, before we can send it to print." But what really won me over was his sense of humor. He told the best jokes. One of my favorite stories that no one's mentioned, but I'm going to just give a little taste because it's a little inappropriate. It involves a trip to Hawaii, a swapped CPAP machine, and a saucy surprise. Ask me in the lobby later. As we've all mentioned, Alan loved music so much. If any of you kind of were around during the pandemic on the internet, you probably either participated in or watched Alan's Name That Tune game. And it's where he got to share his immense love for music. There were rounds about classic rock, musical theater, film scores. I could say the name Ennio Morricone. Anybody? That was his favorite film score composer. Anyway, I have a lot of fond memories of sitting in the box office because he sat behind me, and I would just hear music, and then I'd turn around, and Alan has YouTube open, and he's just typing in his favorite songs into YouTube. Or, oh gosh, actually, this is a bit of a sad memory. This is off script, but when Angela Lansbury passed away, I remember he pulled up a video of Angela Lansbury singing in Utah, and was singing. Oh my God, something from Into the Woods. Careful, the children will listen. Oh, and we both had a good cry that day. That was a good day. Yes, he loved music, and he told me one time that he when he was younger, he wished he had a career in music, and he wanted to have a career in music, but when he was going to college, he didn't know that was an option for him. And then I don't know if he said it was his biggest regret, but one of his regrets is not becoming a music teacher, because he loved music and he loved to teach. He was an incredible teacher. And the thing I loved most about Alan is how involved in his community he was. Here we go. Okay. Before he started working at Hillbarn, He's a very beloved dentist. He sang in choirs, as Lee said. He loved choral music. And he worked a lot with the Lions Club, doing their sketches and their speech competitions. He never stopped living and caring for others and helping them find their true potential. I think my very favorite story is how Alan started working here. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. He was in 1776. Yep, and he peeked in the window of the office and he looked around and he said to Lee, "I can help out. I can tidy this up." And it wasn't long after that that he became a fixture. He came with the building. And in the last couple years he worked here, I'm sure many of you don't know this, but he just was working as a volunteer. Alan loved this place, and it loved him back. Oof. Cheers to you, Alan. And this is my favorite send-off that I'll leave you all with. He used to say this on the phone. Be true to your teeth, or they'll be false to you. Thank you.
In 2016, Alan was the Bravo Award recipient, and we thought it only fitting to replay the video. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage Alan's son, Brian.
Hi, everyone. Well, a few things. First of all, thanks to everyone involved in putting this wonderful evening together. First, my father would have never believed that such an evening would have occurred in his honor, in his memory. And second, he absolutely would have loved to be here to witness all of this. And I'd like to think that he is. When my father broke his hip 2.5 years ago and was staying at our house, one of the primary concerns that he had was to make sure that from our house, he was able to go on the internet and run the trivia contest for Hill Barn during the summer of 2021. And we used to participate and watch him from the other room. And he got such great joy knowing that people were not able to come to the theater at that time, but that he could play a small part in keeping people happy during that difficult period. So again, we received such an outpouring of support from so many people in the community. He loved Hill Barn, he loved performing in shows here, and he loved working here, and he felt very much part of this community, and I know that all of you felt the same about him. And on behalf of my sister and myself, we're very happy to present this donation from my father of $50,000 to the Hill Barn Theater. And we'd encourage all of you to join at whatever level that you are able to contribute in his honor. So thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I knew this was going to happen, but it doesn't matter. Alan was a part of many staff meetings where we talked about the financial struggles of an arts institution, especially coming out of COVID. And the fact that a man who already dedicated 2 decades to coming here and being of service to this community then leaves this behind for us to ensure that future generations can enjoy what he enjoyed so much is just quite an honor. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Alan. This is very, very well needed. I believe Pam actually is going to join us again.
Well, as the development associate, I've sort of had my breath taken away. I knew this was coming, but I didn't know how I would feel about it. And I have to say that one more statement of how he felt about this community, not necessarily this building, but the people who inhabit it, the stories that we tell, and the feelings that we evoke in one another. So as a gift to Alan, I'm going to ask all of you, at some point during this holiday season, be very, very aware of art that touches your heart, just like it touched his. And now I'll talk a little bit about Alan as I had planned. So I've introduced myself as the development associate, but I'm also a costume designer here. And I had the great privilege of costuming Alan twice, first in Fiddler on the Roof, and then in A Christmas Carol. He was as meticulous about what he wore as he was about his desk items. So imagine my joy when he showed up for his rabbi fitting. And he kind of looked at me and he went, "Well, I know what I should wear." And I went, "Well, I'm sure you do. And I've got it on the rack. So let's see." "Well, I'm going to need a pocket." I said, "Yeah, I know your prayer book." And he goes, "Well, I need another one. You know, I'm going to have the glass." "Well, it's really a light bulb, but it's wrapped in a hanky and it's for the wedding." And I went, "Great, I'm going to have a pocket." I wrapped the tallit around him and I said, "Now remember, don't let that touch the floor." And he goes, "You're telling me?" I gave him a yarmulke to have on his head should his brimmed hat fall off, and we became very close friends. Following that, I did A Christmas Carol. He got to play a banker, which was right up his alley. He shined his shoes. He made sure he had a hanky. He taught all the young people in the cast how to hang up their clothes properly. And then he played Old Joe, which is the complete opposite. I kept saying, "Alan, don't tuck your shirt in. You're supposed to be a slob. You're homeless." "I can't help it. You know, I have this habit." Okay. He wore those characters well. And I will forever remember him in his mutton chops or his full beard. Couldn't shave because he was playing the rabbi. And the one thing that we discovered, I guess because he came from a Jewish family, he came from a Jewish community. I don't come from a Jewish family, but my father was in the garment industry. And so he always had shmata stories to tell. Stories about what happened at his various meetings. Alan loved to tell jokes, so I told them back to him. And I'm going to tell this joke tonight. It's a groaner. It's one of those dad jokes, but Alan loved it. So here it is. There's these two guys, Izzy and Sheldon. They've done very well for themselves. They knew each other in college. They met each other's intended. They liked them. So they attended each other's weddings. They had kids. They bought houses. And their garment industry prospered. But after 15 years, those Kaufman brothers moved into the building. Izzy and Sheldon had an office on the 16th floor, and the Kaufmans were on the 8th floor. And every year, they got more sales than Izzy and Sheldon. So one day, Izzy comes in and he says, Shelley, it's not going to work. You know, we've got to put our kids through university. We got to pay the mortgage. You got to make a living. I'm going to jump. Sheldon said, you're not going to jump? He said, yeah, I'm going to take the window. Well, we'll at least draw straws. So they draw straws. Izzy gets the short straw. He says, okay, I'm going to tell you, look after the family. And when I get to the next world, if I've got anything that I can share with you, I'll try to get back to you. And Sheldon said, Izzy, I'm going to really miss you. But you're right. You know, that insurance policy is really going to do a good thing for the families. So with that, Izzy takes the chair. He pushes it over. He opens the window and he jumps. And as he's falling, he passes the Kaufman brothers' window and he yells up, Sheldon, cut silk. And Alan loved that.
I'd now like to call to the stage Michelle Greenberg Shannon and John Elliott Kirk to sing a lovely song from Fiddler on the Roof.
It's upside down. You are tall. May the Lord protect and defend you. May he always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name.
May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord, and keep them from the stranger's ways. May God bless you and grant you long. May the Lord fulfill our Sabbath prayer to you. May God make you good mothers and wives.
May he send you husbands who will care for you. May the Lord protect and defend you.
May the Lord protect and defend
May the Lord
you.
preserve you from pain.
May the Lord preserve you from
Favor
pain.
them, O Lord,
Favor them, O
with
Lord,
happiness and
with
peace.
happiness.
Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer. Amen.
I'd like to invite the rest of the singers up, please. Now, this is any good musical, Alan would tell you, is the part where they get to sing along. He loved to sing. There's so many countless shows that we did together where he'd be in the back up there standing because every seat would be full and he'd be singing with everybody else. So we're going to do a little song called To Life from Fiddler, and we'd like you to join us. It's just at the chorus part, To Life, L'chaim. I just want to make sure everyone's aware of what it is. And we're going to do this together. So I'll be running around like a little woodland sprite, getting everyone to sing, while these professionals will do what they do best. Grace, if you please.
To life, L'chaim, 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 to life. Here's to the father I've tried to be. Here's to my bride. Thank you. Drink L'chaim, to life, L'chaim. L'chaim, L'chaim, to life. Like there's a way of confusing us, blessing and bruising us. Drink L'chaim, to life. God would like us to be joyful, even when your hearts are panting on the floor. How much more can we be joyful when there's really something to be joyful for? To life, L'chaim, to title my daughter, my wife. It gives you something to think about, something to drink about. Drink L'chaim, to life. To all of you, to Alan, to family, to friends alike. May all your futures be pleasant ones, not like our present ones. Drink L'chaim, to life, L'chaim. L'chaim, L'chaim, to life. It takes a party to make us say, let's live another day. Drink L'chaim, to life. We'll raise a glass and sip a drop of schnapps in honor of the great good luck that favored you. We know that when good fortune favors people, then it stands to reason we deserve it too. To us and our good fortune, be happy, be healthy, long life. And if our good fortune never comes, here's to whatever comes. Drink L'chaim, to life.
Thank you all. That concludes our event in here. But because just as they were singing, let's all raise a glass and enjoy each other's company out in the lobby to Alan. But before we let it go, we could say goodbye. We could do our thing, but
It's not good enough.
no one can do it
It's not good enough.
as the man himself. So let's give him the
Let's
last
take one
word.
last look.
Hi, my name is Alan Hafter, and I'm in the box office at Hillbarn Theater. At this time, I want to thank all of our subscribers and patrons for your understanding and generosity through the pandemic. I also want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.